David Bowers, you're on here. Do you have a question for Celeste?
Yep. Can you hear me, by the
Yes.
way? Great.
Oh, hey, David
Thank you.
Bowers.
Many congrats, Celeste. Appreciate it. I'll actually come off the screen here.
Thank you, David.
Many congrats and proud to work with you. Celeste, really appreciated you laying out all your words, very challenging and compelling, and the steps that people can take. I'm curious, as what would you say has been one of the, as we go into these, as you call them, courageous conversations, one of the more challenging things you've experienced in your career as an African-American, as an African-American woman, working in a kind of corporate environment, particularly for our white colleagues, what do you think one of the more challenging angles and aspects of the conversations are going to be? And what have you found in your experience has helped people get there, right? In terms of the willingness to have the conversation, be open all around, black and white, but curious what your experience has been with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important thing is, and this is certainly what we will be creating with you all in the Courageous Conversations, is that people need to feel as though they have a safe and non-judgmental space in which to have this conversation. It's not an easy conversation. It's not one that we are accustomed to having. And so it's important for us to go into it knowing that it's not a time of criticism, it's not a time of blame. It really is, and it's not a time of individualizing this situation. You know, this is a conversation about race and racism that we're having across our country, but it's not about individuals, it's about systems, it's about structures, it's about this enduring kind of hierarchy of human value that needs to be dismantled. And so if people understand that we're coming to it from that perspective, I think it makes them, it makes for a more comfortable conversation. And I can say that on my team and my company, that's how we're trying to approach it, because that's the only way that we're going to get to this kind of conversation. And also we have to see shared value in having the conversation. And that's an important, I think, perhaps the most important tenet of these kinds of courageous conversations.
Thank you, Celeste. And we have Rodney Harrell, who works for ARP, is on our Champions Council, ask a question of whether you think that the current crises will lead to more permanent recognitions of the connection between race, place, and health disparities. And you may have answered this in part, but do you think we can make it happen?
I mean, we can only hope so. I am optimistic that something is different, and that as more and more eyes are open, that there is an opportunity for it to be lasting change. But you know, if there is going to be lasting change, number one, it has to go beyond protests. I think we're all aware that that there are really deep and troubling issues that the protests are bringing to life. But now we've got to figure out, what do we do about them? And a lot of what you're hearing is about police brutality and changing policing in communities. And that's all important, and we need to go there. But we also need to understand that police brutality is a symptom of something bigger and something kind of deeper and probably a lot more difficult to address. And so, yes, I am hopeful. Yes, I do think that there's an opportunity here, and I do think that the diversity of people that we're seeing, young and old, who are out protesting, but mostly young, is definitely creating the space in this country for us to go a different place in the future.
Terrific. Thank you very much. Thank you, Celeste. If you're able to stay around and go into breakout, you're welcome to, but I know you're quite busy. Another hand for Celeste, please. And we're now going to go into breakouts. Emily's going to listen to those breakouts. Let's all stay in touch with Celeste and everybody working on these challenges.